generation. He is also the architect behind the 7-Minute Magic Challenge, one of the most disciplined and transformative communication challenges running globally today. So, dear participants, let's welcome Brahm Memon. Brahm, the virtual podium is all yours.
Welcome to the 7-Minute Magic Challenge, ladies and gentlemen. This is the introduction for what this session is all about. This is where you get to craft your 7-minute signature presentation or a contest-ready presentation. I've been in Toastmasters for 30 years. That is where I learned the craft. The crowd here today is not only Toastmasters, it's a global crowd from everywhere, and probably from over 130 countries, I believe. I don't know. We'll see. There's only about 100 people here, so maybe not. But the reach has been over 130 people that have been signing into these events so far. I'm a leadership architect and a master coach for 33 years and in Toastmasters for 30 years. And I've seen presentations and speeches all the time. And when I attend events and I see other speakers, I'm wondering, why are they speaking the way they are speaking? Now, the 7 minutes that we have really lays to bear, it really makes you naked as to where your thinking was, what are you up to, and your processes of putting together your presentation. In 7 minutes, you cannot hide. Absolutely, you cannot hide. The stories and the noise, the incompletions, the way it's been structured will come alive, will just show up. It just shows up. And some of you here have been speaking for a number of years. And every time you speak, you probably get an evaluation or feedback from somebody as a review of what you've done. And some days it is a vocal variety, some days it is content, some days it's eye contact, and it goes on and on and on endlessly. Well, of course, there's always some feedback, but it hasn't to be repetitious feedback. It has to sort of, you got to move forward further and further up as mastery rather than going around in circle. Would you agree? So the 7-minute challenge is to make sure that you're not going back in circles. It will 7 minutes exposes our weak thinking in our structure and how we structure our presentations. 7 minutes, that's it. You get 7 minutes, and 7 minutes passes by so very quickly. I probably have been speaking for 3-4 minutes already, right? It passes by very quickly. So, ladies and gentlemen, why do most presentations fall flat? Besides, of course, the lack of thinking and all that, well, it shows a lack of critical thinking. And critical thinking shows, lack of critical thinking shows up in how it's overwritten. Too many facts, too much stuff in your presentation. It is over-explained. My pet peeve, over-explained. There's too much explanations that are unnecessary and therefore under-structured. When it's overwritten, over-explained, the structure will suffer. And when the structure suffers, you come to an abrupt ending, a rushed ending, and there's no audience takeaway. And people are left wondering, why did I do it? Why did this speaker even speak? And what did I get out of this? And nothing comes out of for the audience. Because every presentation is audience-centric. Would you agree? It has to be for the audience, not for you. It's not yours. The audience are there to receive something. So, critical thinking shows, if there's no critical thinking, it shows that you have failed to have a purpose behind the intention, behind what your presentation is about. You have failed to plan, you failed to practice, right? And the preparation that goes with it. And then the feedback loop that is involved, the review loop that's involved in getting the presentation to the next level. When there's not enough time for preparation, or there's no clear idea why and what you want to convey to the audience, what happens? We see the result in most of the time in our 7-minute presentations. So, ladies and gentlemen, 7 minutes exposes the weak thinking that goes behind our presentations. Critical thinking will set you free and to make sure that you are able to convey the message that is intended for the audience. Now, I'm going to launch a poll, but before the poll, let me explain why I'm launching this poll in this particular launch meeting. I want to see currently how you guys are and what you are, where are you at with your thinking currently and why you are in this room. So I want to get a feel for this room at the moment. So, Madam Zoom Master, if you can launch poll number 1 so we can get a feel for what's going on here. We'll wait for the poll. Oh, there it is. Can you read, Nelly, can you read the poll as what it says on the poll?
Sure. What stops most people from delivering a powerful 7-minute presentation? Is it too much content, poor structure, lack of confidence, or not enough practice?
Okay. And how is it going? Nelly, when we are above 75, we'll wait for 75% of the people to reply. But as you can see, well, as I can see as the poll is going on, that equally between too much content and not enough practice is taking the top spot. But actually there's equally with poor structure as well. They're almost equal. But the top spot is not enough practice. I'm looking at my poll screen over here. Okay, keep watching because I really need to feel what this room is, where it is, and what you're thinking currently is and where you are at. So that will determine also, of course, what I provide as I go along. So it'll be a little bit as well, depending on your poll over here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep voting, and I will move a little bit forward, but every option that you've selected here, remember, every option that you've selected over here is a valid option. It's not that there's something wrong with the option that you've selected. This is where you are at. This is where we are at. I have been through that journey myself, and there's nothing wrong. These are the real obstacles that we face, and this series of events that we are going to be holding over the next few weeks after this launch will set you, well, give you the tools to put you on the right direction. In the end, the execution will always remain with you, right? Taking the knowledge and doing the execution. So that's what brings me to, I can supply the knowledge. We have the knowledge. We know what a 7-minute presentation should entail. We know, or most of us know anyways, why we want to speak better. Communication is key, right? It is the #1 skill that you ought to have, that you ought to be very good at, and that's one skill that you really, really need to pay attention to. You can get all the knowledge that you want, but if the execution isn't there, there's this execution gap. Taking the time to think through critically and then executing it. I have seen presenters who, when they're doing a presentation, they will plan and prepare their presentation on the day of or the week of. Your presentation should be much further back from the time that you're presenting. The execution gap is always the key thing. And my famous 4 Ps or the 5 Ps, the purpose, why am I speaking, right? Have I had enough planning to do about this presentation? Have I prepared it well? Did I practice it before I come and present on this stage? That's the execution gap that we have between knowledge and what we do. And therefore what happens is our outcomes will suffer, right? Which we have seen from the poll. Now let me look at the poll. There we go. Not enough practice. 31 people said not enough practice is the highest scoring right now. Exactly what I've been saying is the execution gap. right? That is what is the fundamental block, the obstacle behind how we do well in our presentations. The outcome determines whether you've been consistent, whether you have the execution discipline to follow through and to take what you've already done before, incorporate it into your new presentation and take it to the next level rather than going around in circles over and over and over again, forever and ever and ever. I've seen speakers who've been speaking for 10 years and so on, and they haven't really improved, marginally improved perhaps from the year 1 or year 2. Execution gap. Or that overconfidence, or it doesn't really matter. Okay? So here we want to dispel those things, and we want to carve out some time to make sure that this year, 2026, is the year that you become a proficient communicator, and for some of you, master speakers. Hopefully, actually, every one of you will become master speakers by the end of 2026. That should be your goal, because that is the primary thing. Communication is the primary skill that you have. It is not being a doctor or an architect or a secretary or an admin assistant or a janitor. It is communication. How you communicate and how it lands with the audience, whether it's one-on-one, 1 on 10, 1 on 1,000, 1 on 10,000, it doesn't really matter. Communication is key. Would you agree? If you agree, put yes in the chat if you agree with that, with what I've just said. Let me just check my chat over here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. So now that we know that communication is the key skill, the most fundamental foundational skill, let's go into the 7-minute magic challenge and what it entails, and then we will go into the timetable of the future trainings coming up. So, what this challenge demands of you when you get into this challenge. It is not just about participation, it is about performance. When you come on stage, what's going to happen, right? So you're going to do something different than what you've done before. The presentations will, when you come on stage, the presentation should show the evidence of, it must show the evidence of a purpose. Why am I speaking today? I know why I'm speaking today. I spent a lot of time planning this over and over, and I was rehearsing this presentation late last night. I rehearsed it over and over and over again. And so I planned, I prepared, right? And I practiced, and now I'm presenting. That is a challenge. This challenge demands that you do the same with any presentation that you make. Any presentation that you will be making to your boss, to your team. If you're speaking in the boardroom, if you're speaking at a wedding, God forbid, if you're speaking at a funeral, right? Doesn't really matter where you are speaking. The presentation should show the evidence of what was the purpose, did I plan it well, did I prepare, and did I practice? Okay, so when you come to on this stage here, finally, and I'll explain how you come on the stage here to present your presentation, you will show that you have had this thinking process through, right? And secondly, it is audience-centric, which is, of course, ties into the purpose. What is the purpose of this presentation today? Why am I speaking to this particular audience? If it's a wedding, it's a different audience. If it's a funeral, it's a different audience. If it is a presentation to your boardroom, it's a different audience. If it's to your boss, it's a different audience. If it is to your team, that you're leading a team, a high-performing team, or whatever performing team that is, it's a different audience. If you're having a party at home and you raise a toast, it's a different audience, but you have to be prepared, all right? And of course, if you enter the challenge, you'll be able to come on stage here and demonstrate that globally in front of all the people that you see here today, and more maybe. I'll get into that in a second. So what is this challenge is not, and obviously we know now what the challenge is not, because we've said this is the things that make us fail. So what is this challenge? What it isn't, it is not a casual speaking. You just come up confidently, overconfidently, and just say, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to speak about, and then you boom, right? And we have had this past challenge previous years where people have tried to do that, but what we did was we asked them beforehand to supply a video. This year, we are not going to ask you to supply a video. We're going to ask you to fill a Google form. I'll get to that at the end. You'll fill in a Google form about your presentation and your thinking process. And if you succeed, there'll be a panel of judges looking at your application. You don't call it an application, your intent to speak on this stage. They'll look at it and say, okay, does it make sense that this guy or this person is really thinking through? So this is not a casual speaking, right? This is not improvisation, and this is not content dumping. This is serious business where you actually do show up and you follow through the rules of this challenge. Okay, and you'll get the training, don't worry, and I'll get into that in a second. So this is a performance challenge with competitive standards embedded in it. All right, to take you to the next level. You don't keep repeating that loop, would you? You don't want to, right? This year is the year where you succeed. 2026 is your year. If 2026 is really your year, put that in the chat. 2026, 2026. And I will know that you have said that this is my year for speaking well. Go ahead. Have the courage. Push yourself. You will get the training. We are together on this journey. 2026 is going to be your year. And if there's over 100 people in this room, 117, well, I should say at least 100, 2026, right? All right. And Marie-Michelle St. Louis, 2026 is my year. Dorothy Janikira, Elizabeth Rothner, Sue Burnett, I like it. Hannah Schmidt, Veronica Zuze, Charity. Yes, it should be. 2026 should be your year, my year, everyone's year to take the game to the next level, way up there. When I say 2026, I mean by 31st of December 2026, which means a shift in certain habits, a shift in mindset, right? That's what's going to happen. So I already jumped the gun. Instead of saying I'm in, we said type in 2026. I get it. But if you are going to be in this challenge, type in I'm in. Yeah, 2026 is going to be your year, but if you are going to be in this challenge, type in I'm in. Wonderful, thank you. Yes, I can see that people are saying that they are going to be in. Thank you very much, and wonderful. And yeah, keep typing. I should see over 100 answers that I'm in this challenge. And why not? Why not? Take the courage. This is not something that, you know, you have to be perfect. When you take the challenge and put yourself in it, a shift will happen in your mindset, in your whole being, and you'll start to think differently. If you stay outside and just keep looking, you'll always keep looking the way you've always looked at this game from the outside. Once you jump in, your mind, what's within you will begin to shift. It does, all the time. When you get in the game, the whole being shifts into the game. It's not about winning or losing. It is about shifting the needle forward, progressing further out. That's what the game is all about. It's not about winning or losing or embarrassing myself, whatever. It's not about that, right? It's about character, it's about integrity, it's about courage. That's what the game is. That's what the game has always been. That's what the game has always been for anything that you undertake for which you have been hesitating so far. Whereas in your life have you been hesitating, right? But today it's all about speaking and how you will be a master speaker by December 31st, 2026. Of course, the training isn't that long. The training is only a short period, but you will continue with the habits you've created into the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when your thinking is disciplined, what you will hear when you're speaking, you will hear that this person who is speaking on stage or to us has thought through critically and has exposed their purpose, plan, preparing, and practice. And how does it come out? It comes out as when you stand up, you speak with confidence, with clarity first, all right? And when you're very clear about your communication, you come across as a confident speaker because you're very clear, you know what you're going to speak about, you come across as confident speaker, and when you come across as a confident speaker, you speak with conviction, a deep conviction, because you believe in what you're speaking about. When you believe in what you're speaking about, there's conviction in your voice, that conviction is embodied, and it comes out across to the audience. When there's clarity, there's confidence, there's conviction, guess what? The audience will say, this speaker is a credible speaker. I believe this speaker, I trust this speaker. Subconsciously, every audience, everyone that you're speaking to, unconsciously, it's our survival brain is always thinking, do I trust this person? Who is this person? What are they telling me? Consciously, you may not be thinking that, but subconsciously, it's going on. Your survival brain is very, very powerful. So when you are speaking, what are you doing? You're really branding yourself for trust and credibility, and whether you'll be invited back to speak again. This is where, the decision logic in your presentation comes through, the trade-offs you've made in your presentation, the constraints against which you work, 7 minutes only, and the intentional design clearly shows through. And you begin to form credibility. That is the critical thing, credibility with the audience. I always say this, ladies and gentlemen, I just threw this quote in. Here's my quote that I always mention to my students who come to my coaching classes. Real communication is when it lands. It has to land. And it creates a connection with the person on the other side, and it makes an impact. The impact is, of course, does the audience move, right? It's my favorite quote for when I teach communication in my coaching classes. I thought I'd just throw that in here. Now, how do you create that magic? Here's some fundamentals. Just a brief, because today is just a launch meeting. It's not really a fully fledged training meeting. The trainings will follow in the next couple of weeks. How do you create the magic? Well, it's simple. What am I going to be saying in this particular presentation? What am I saying? Does it make sense? Right? Number one. Number two, what type of presentation is it? Am I here to inform the people? Am I inspiring the people? Am I here to persuade? Maybe even influence, motivate? Or if it's an after-dinner conversation, speech presentation, is it an entertaining presentation? Even in an entertaining presentation, there tends to be a takeaway for the audience. But what I'm really concerned about is the inspirational type of presentation, the leadership type of presentation, the persuasion type of presentation, influencing motivation. What type of presentation are you making? You need to know that, because that will determine the words, the language, the beginning, the content, and the end. Who is this for? Again, wedding, funeral, boss, team, other places, community. Who is it for? Why does it matter at this time to this particular audience? Why does it matter? And what must the audience do next, which is the call to action after your presentation? Did the audience shift from here to here? Did it shift? That is how you create magic in your presentations. Pure and simple, of course. And the presentation has to be audience-centric, completely audience-centric, as we've said before. But I cannot belabor this point because time and time again, when I hold, every Tuesday, I hold a clinic for speaking, right? And speakers who've been speaking for years and years, I give a 7 or 8 minute breakdown of the presentation and I tear it apart and I say, does it really make sense? We begin with, is there an audience takeaway? That's the first thing we look at any presentation. It has to be audience-centric. And based on that, how you've crafted the presentation is, what is the title of this presentation? And from the title, how did you open the presentation? And was the audience engaged right from the get-go? If you lose the audience in the first 2 minutes for a 7-minute speech, not even 30 seconds, not even 2 minutes, or any presentation, right from the word get-go, and your introduction when the MC is introducing you, and the title is very, very important, right? Secondly, how you construct the presentation to conclusion, the different layers, the different stories. Well, 7-minute, one story, right? With different chapters in the story, perhaps, and a good flow to the story, and a conclusion that you come to with a clear call to action. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, title and call to conclusion are interconnected in a way. Because if the title mismatches the call to action, is like, why the title? Why was this title here? It doesn't even match the conclusion. I mean, even if it's a mysterious title, it should be very clear by the end, the call to action. So my question is, did this presentation, of course, inspire, inform, persuade, or engage, and did it land with the audience? Audience-centric structure. That is what we are looking for, right? That is what a clear presentation that makes a difference, that makes an impact, is all about. In simple terms, of course. Now, if you get into the 7-minute magic challenge, and why do I call it magic, by the way, is simply this, is magic can be created in 7 minutes, right? In 7 minutes, we can create total, complete magic. When a speaker stands up and speaks, they can move crowds, inspire people, create a movement, right? Things can change with the right words and the right manner of delivery. That's why I call it magic. There is magic in 7 minutes if it's crafted well. For those of you who go to Toastmasters, and we have most of our crowd here today is Toastmasters, I believe, and the world champions of public speaking, right? What are they doing? Right? That's what I mean. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you participate here, you'll be able to craft a signature presentation that you can reuse elsewhere. A signature presentation that really means something to you. Right? Somebody was asking me the other day, what should I talk about? I said, talk about something that's your part of your vision into the future. What are you walking into? Right? What is that thing that you're walking into in the future? Could be that. Could be a story that has a lesson for the audience, an audience takeaway. For those of you who are Toastmasters and go to the World Champion of Public Speaking, that's always a story. It's one story, different chapters maybe to the story, and an audience takeaway at the end, right? Key thing. Or, of course, you could be a contest-ready presentation. That's what you will gain out of this if you put your name in. And then what else? You come here, once you accept it, and the application form is really a backbone of what really you are going to be presenting about. And then you will be able to come and present on the global stage here. This is what we want you to do. Now remember, there is an optional guidance for those who choose to have an optional guidance besides the 2 trainings that we'll provide. If you want more guidance, it's available. Yeah. Now remember, this is not a contest, but it is more of a challenge to learn, grow, and position yourself as a speaker. All right. And the winner of this particular challenge for the first time ever will get a $150 gift certificate. Right? Let that sink in. So, are you going to master speaking this year or keep doing what you've always done? If you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. You don't want to be doing your speaking skill training forever and ever and ever for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years. This year, make it your year where you will succeed by making a huge difference on the stage. You will see a shift happen. A huge shift. Now, from those people who say I'm in, or those people that said 2026 is the year, I recognize some of the names there. They've been Toastmasters who've been here for quite a while. They've been coming to my events for a number of years. And I'm glad that they're taking the challenge on and they're saying 2026 is going to be their year. All right? So what decision are you making this year? Those of you who are sitting still on the fence, or those who didn't say I'm in, what decision are you making? Because every decision that you make, and this is the pivot point today, now, the decision that you make will change your life forever, because communication is the key skill to have, and to improve that dramatically this year is something that will change your life. Would you agree? Okay, enough. Say it there. It's up to you. However, this is what I would like you to do. Right? I want you to picture this. All right? I will switch off my video for a second. And I want you to picture this. Right? Picture this. It's the end of December 2026. You've just delivered your signature presentation, not something that you threw together, something that you refined, tested, and fully owned, which is part of this challenge, right, as well. And you walk off the stage with a standing ovation. What does it look like? Right? Not because you were flashy, but because you were clear. You were confident, you're grounded, you were speaking with conviction. The audience leans in because you know exactly what you're saying and why you're saying it. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened because you designed this year starting today. Designed this year starting today. You should be in this challenge, right? And guess what? Suppose you get invited to speak, or when you enter contests, you're not one of the many, but others are trying to match you. Not because they want to compete against you, but they think, wow, what a great speaker. You get inspired by great speakers, don't you? I do. And opportunities begin to show up. You're positioned, you're promoted, and yes, if you are still at work and you're working and your workmates see that and your bosses see that you're doing great in your communication, guess what? You get paid well. Or some of you will go on to become keynote speakers and get paid as keynote speakers when you speak at conferences. Right? Good things come to people who hope. Sorry, good things don't come to people who just hope. They come to people who design, commit, and execute. And that is today. And that's what we are all about here today. So by December 31st, 2026, where will you be? What decisions are you going to be making this year? Is 2026 your year? For those of you who are still hesitating, those who haven't put their name in, said, I'm in, are you really going to be in? Take that courage. You will see the shift immediately. Is this your year or not? Let's go. All right. I will launch poll number 2 just to see if we've moved a little bit forward and what's happening with that. So, Nelly, if you can. Right? Let's see where the crowd is. And now if you can read what the poll is, let me see if on my other screen here, the poll.
Yeah, sure. The poll says, how are you approaching your communication this year? I'll keep doing what I've been doing. I want to improve, but I'm not sure how. I'm ready to deliberately design my message.
Good, good. And yes, I can see the poll. Quite a number of people are actually saying where they want to be, and I can see that the last one it is. There are a few people that will keep doing what they've been doing. Perhaps they have good speakers already, or whatever that is, right? But you never learn less. You can always learn more and stretch your boundaries even more, right? So let's see. I want to improve, but I'm not sure how. 18. And I'm ready to deliberately design my message. Most of them have said, I want to deliberately design my message. Of course, Nelly, you'll put this in the chat, right, for us. So if you've selected the third option, right, which is not a surprise, of course, that's why you're here anyways, is to improve yourself, okay? So the next steps are just straightforward, all right? Thank you, Nelly. And we can end the poll soon. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, here's the QR code, okay? If you want to be in the challenge, you take this QR code, you'll be taken to a website where you can register for this challenge. Now remember, when you click this QR code, it might say, be careful of spam, whatever. And Hannah is going to post the same thing in the chat, a link and the QR code. Hannah, let me know when you are ready. Hannah?
I do so. I'm on my way.
Thank you. Okay, so it'll be posted in the chat in a second, the link and the QR code as well. If you want to be in the challenge, you'll be taken to a website where you can register, right? It's all electronic. There is no human interference in this system, okay? If you typed in "I'm in," thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. Yes. So there is the link. Either click the link or the QR code. Remember now, the QR code, when you click the QR code, it will say, be careful, whatever it is. It's okay. We are not trying to sort of trick you. It's safe. This QR code and the link are very safe. Okay. Sign into the web page. Now remember, when you sign into the web page, you will be taken to a confirmation page. And on the confirmation page, if you are on WhatsApp, you can join a WhatsApp group if you wish. But also you'll be sent an email, because in that email and the following emails that you will get over the week, you will receive the different things that you need to do to be in the challenge and the upcoming trainings that are happening and all the information related to the challenge. It will be in your emails. So remember, check your spam, check your junk folder. Some of you have some emails that where your email is directed to the social folder or some other folder. In fact, I believe that most emails nowadays, it's not only Gmail, but most emails these days have different folders, and my email tends to end up in a social folder sometimes. Sometimes I send an email to myself to test and it ends up in junk. Me sending to myself, it ends up in junk. Just when I'm testing whether this particular thing is working or not. So check your junk folder, check your spam folder, and you'll have to do that on a regular basis over the next few weeks to make sure that the email that you get from the system isn't ending up there or in the social folder or some other folder, okay? And you will be getting very regular information going forward, okay? So that's the QR code. all right? And the confirmation page that we will be taken into. You can do it right now or at the end, towards the end of this presentation. But if you do it now, you are in, you are committed. You are committing to yourself, you are committed to yourself for 2026. So do it now. We will pause for a second and we'll close the poll here, which is most people have said they are going to deliberately design their message. Perfect. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Check your spam, of course, and so on. Now, here's the timelines, and this is what's going to happen in the trainings that are going to unfold over the next little while, right? It is, first of all, it is open to everyone, this particular challenge, whether you are in a professional organization, you are a homemaker, you are retired, doesn't really matter who you are, from what station of your life. This is open to everyone. Okay. Number 2, participants may remain fully self-directed. Just take the training that's over here that we are providing, or you can come for some special classes and choose an optional guidance during the challenge. It's up to you. We will talk about it more in the future sessions. All right. Now, remember, this is not an application, right? It's not an application. It is a demonstration of how you think. You'll be sent a Google form during this week. If you're in and you sign into the website, right, and you sign in and you said, I'm in, you'll be sent an email later on down the week, not today, but in a few days' time. And there'll be about 5 or 6 different questions, and you have time to think through those, of course, before you answer them, so that you can put together your idea. You can do it after the trainings are over, so that you get very clear as to what your presentation is going to be. Okay, but you'll be sent a Google form, and here's what's on the Google form. Okay, the first question will be introduce yourself, and of course we have maximum number of words. Okay, so it'll be 15 words. In 15 words, introduce yourself. Now you will have to adhere to these standards. If you write big, long, or too short or too long, it doesn't have to be exactly 15 words, but it should really tell who you are. Introduce yourself. Okay, and then what's the title and the theme of your speech? 10 words, mostly for the title, really. We don't want it to be an Aaron Beverly's speech from 2016, right, which was 57 words long. That's why we said 10 words maximum. 10 words is even too long for titles normally. Why this particular topic and the central idea, that one sentence that makes the speech come alive in 20 words. What to expect in your presentation, 50 words. And the objective of your speech, 20 words. That's it. I think those are the 5 questions we will be asking. Oh no, there's one more. Of course, how can I forget? And the call to action, right? Call to engagement, the audience takeaway. What's the audience takeaway? Why are you doing this particular presentation? See, we've already designed it for you to start thinking right from the get-go as to how a presentation should be put together. This is the structure, right, of how a presentation should be put together. We always begin with, I'm going to be doing this particular presentation. What is the audience's takeaway going to be? Actually, that's the first thing that we talk about in my private coaching classes at times, right? And every Tuesday when I hold my clinic, what's the audience takeaway? Why are you doing this? In the trainings that we will provide, we'll talk about it a bit as well. Why are you doing this presentation? What's the audience's takeaway? So this is the Google form you'll get in the next few days. It's not going to be today. Today you'll just get a confirmation email, and there's a confirmation page, web page, where you'll be taken to right now if you sign in now. Okay. The timelines, and this is very, very important. What are the timelines? So today is January the 26th. The challenge opens today, right? And on February the 6th, I said February the 6th, we will extend that. Okay, so remember, I'm going to extend the February 6th to February the 12th. I felt, after I'd done after I'd put together this presentation and I'd practiced it so many times, and then guess what? The last minute thought, maybe that's too short a time. So I said February the 12th. Because on February the 2nd and February the 9th, you come here and the training sessions will happen. Now the training sessions are open to the public as well, everyone. Even if you are not in, the training session will be open to you. Okay? But if you are in, you will be getting more training that will not be available in public, which will be via email and videos, right? So if you are in and you sign in on the web page today, you will get more material than the trainings we will be doing on February the 2nd and the 9th. Okay? That's an incentive, of course, for you to push you that you should become a great speaker by 2026. And at the end of, so, and then between February the 9th or by February the 12th, sorry, I'm trying to get all this, juggle my dates in my head. From February the 12th, which is the close, we will close. You cannot enter the challenge after February the 12th. The Google form, I mean. You may have entered in the challenge today, but the Google form should be in by the February the 12th. So there are several deadlines. If you miss that deadline, then you won't be able to come and present on the stage here in towards the end of March. Those dates are not quite gelled because I don't know how many people will actually finally fill in the Google form and say, I'm in and I'm committed and I will be there, right? Those things vary a little bit, unfortunately. But if you should be one of those people who, when they make a commitment, they follow through. Those are the people I love because I know they are leaders. They said, I will do this, they follow through. No matter what, they have the courage, the integrity of character, right, to be where they said they would be. Those are the people that really are the movers and shakers, and they really make a difference. Be one of those people, okay? Put your name in, come for the training, and come on stage. Don't be embarrassed, whatever, all those feelings, you will be able to put them aside and just be present and make your presentation. That's what we want. We'll go on to the Q&A. Here's the QR code again, in case you missed it, right there. Hannah, you can post that QR code and the link again in the chat for us. Thank you very much. Now, Aswati, are there any questions that have been put in the chat? If there's none, now is the time to ask questions. Now is the time to raise your hand. Please raise your hand so that we can do the Q&A.
There was one question in the chat by Lynn. And the question is, what is the difference between a motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker?
Motivational speakers is something that they're motivating you with words and saying, if you don't do this, this will happen, right? And inspiration is, who are you? And what are you? And so it's from inside. They try and shift you from within. Motivation is from outside. If there's a fire, you'd better run, right? That's motivational. Inspiration is something that comes from within. There's a shift within you. So that's the difference between motivation and inspiration. Next question.
That's all. Yeah, we don't have any questions in the chat, but if anyone wants to ask,
I think there was a chat question from Hitesh. Right? Is there a question by Hitesh?
Yes, Hitesh Parmar. When
What's
do we
the
get
question?
the link? Yeah, he's asking about the Google link
So
to add additional
thank you,
information.
Hitesh, and Hitesh, so welcome. You've been in these challenges for quite a while now, and you've been to several of the contests we put together. So welcome back. The Google form will be sent during this week sometime. Wednesday, Thursday, I believe. I don't have the timeline in front of me right now, but it will be sent at that time. In the meantime, you will be getting a confirmation email today because if you put your name in today, you'll get a confirmation email. Make sure that you check that email as well. And join the WhatsApp group if you are on WhatsApp. I recommend you have WhatsApp. It's become pretty universal now. And most people, even in North America these days, have WhatsApp. So if you are in the WhatsApp group, you will be able to get information much more quickly than email or trying to look for, let me check my spam folder today. I haven't checked it for 2 days, whatever, right? And then by then there's like 100 other messages in your spam folder. In my spam folder, I get hundreds of messages. If I don't check for 2 or 3 days, I get so many messages. And some of the most prominent people from and organizations that I subscribe to, their emails end up in the spam and junk sometimes. Very important emails that I really need to read, and for my own personal development, I find them in my spam folder. That is the algorithms working out there in the background somewhere doing whatever they are doing. So make sure always, and of course, for heaven's sake, if you don't recognize a link or an email in your spam folder, don't click it. All right, Hitesh, I hope I've answered that question for you. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a question from Rahmat Ali. What is the criteria for the additional videos or trainings?
Sorry, say that again.
He's asking about the criteria for the additional videos or trainings. Not sure what, yeah.
So no, you don't have to produce a video. We had done that 2 years ago when we had the first time the 7-minute magic challenge, when we had asked the participants to produce a 1-minute video. Instead of the 1-minute video that we had 2 years ago, this year we are having fill in this Google form. We made it easier, and so you'll get the Google form in a few days' time. Okay, so you don't have to produce any video. The reason being, we had a lot of interest, right? But when we asked for the video, very few people submitted. I mean, about a third. So we had about 35-40 people submit a video. Okay, but we want a lot of people to be engaged. So we said, okay, it's easier. The video had the same format as what is on the Google form, exactly the same format. The number of words and so on was the same 2 years ago. This year is only the Google form, so it makes it easier. People find it a bit difficult to create a video and to edit it and to make sure it's exactly a minute long and so on, right? Because we had a criteria. If it's more than a minute long, it was actually 70 seconds, we will discard it. You won't be in the contest. It was very strict, and we had a panel of judges going through all those videos. So that's why we have the number of words. It's about a minute long. If you start to speak, that the Google form, we got number of words for each of the sections, and if you put it together as a presentation, it's about a minute presentation. Okay, so no videos this year, only the Google form, which will arrive to you in a few days' time. Anything else, Aswati?
Yes, we have Deepthi Srivastava raising her hands. Deepthi, you can ask your questions. Please
Yeah, hi, Brad.
If you can spotlight Deepthi, that'd be great. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Okay. Can I see my question?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. So, a very simple question would be, do introverts really struggle to be a good communicators, according to you? Like, is being outspoken the same as being an effective communicator?
I have
So
news for you, Deepthi. I have news for you. I am an extreme introvert. If I was told to rate myself from 1 to 10 as introvert, right, in 1 being the least introvert and 10 being the most introvert, I would rate myself as 100, and I still do. When I grew up as a very quiet child. I wouldn't even speak. In school, I was known as the quietest child in the school. You know, when the teacher came in late in those primary schools and the kids would be running around making noise and all that, and the teacher suddenly walks in, right? Says, you are all going to be punished, except Brahm, because we know he never talks. That was me. You invite me to a party today, I'll be doing the least amount of talking. I'm an introvert, an extreme high introvert. But you learn the skills and you take the courage. Being an introvert is not about being shy or being embarrassed. Being introvert is you're just quiet. Perhaps you mean somebody who gets embarrassed very quickly, somebody who's very shy, which means getting embarrassed. If that's what you mean, then there's something different. That's the psychological, to overcome the psychological barriers. But introvert is just a manner of whether you like quietness or whether you like to make noise. So that's the difference. So now, Dipti, what did you mean? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, sure. It did. It did.
Okay.
I mean,
And
it
are you an
resonated
introvert?
with me, and yeah, very much. Whatever you're telling about yourself, I think I will just copy paste about myself the same thing. So it's just like what I think you were telling about me when you told about yourself today. So yes, I am thorough, born introvert, I would say.
So you have the tendency to think very deeply about things because you're quiet. I
True.
get it. I get it. Same here. And it doesn't mean that other people are less shallow, whatever. It's just the thought processes are just different. That's all. All right. Thank you, Dipti, for asking that question. Sorry, I have to look at this screen because this is where you appear on my screen, not on the near the camera. Okay. Any other questions, Aswathi?
Yes, we have a question from Robert. And the question is, what was your turning point for becoming an extrovert? Yeah, extrovert speaker, I think.
Every day is a turning point for me, actually. Here's the thing, Robert, is repetition, practice, consistency, mastery, being on the stage, no matter how I'm feeling, being on the stage where I need to be on the stage. When I make a commitment that I'll be speaking on this date, I turn up and I speak, and I practice a lot, and I know my presentation well. I've also been guilty, Robert, of writing my presentations the day off, and I've really bombed, or 2 days before. But it has been a practice, and a lot of practice, being on the stage and keep practicing over and over. So I'm following that mastery path. I'm getting better and better and better every day as I go along. So can I get better than this? Of course I can. Much better. Can I express myself way better than this? Of course I can, right? Depending on what sort of presentation it is. Today is not that presentation where I'm motivating you, I'm trying to inspire you, though there was a bit of motivation in it. So Robert, is all about practice. And over the years, I've overcome a lot of, not only being introvert, but also, of course, we all go through that getting embarrassed very quickly in front of a crowd, right? When we first start to stand up to speak and we go all red and we get tongue-tied. We have to all overcome that, right? It's practice over and over and over again. And making sure your content is right, you make sense. That is a critical thing. When those things are present, it shouldn't take you forever. Then even the most introverted person can speak proficiently in a very short period of time, if they're assured that the content is flowing well, because now they're confident about the content. So they're not wishy-washy. They know exactly how it's flowing, right? It's critical for that, okay? And the conclusion, how it's laid out. When you're sure of that, you come across with clarity, confidence, you speak with conviction, and therefore you become credible with the crowd. I hope I've answered that question for you.
May I ask a second question? And what was your first professional? What after school? What learned you for professional?
Okay, so I've had many professions. I did a degree in meteorology, and I was a hydrometeorologist for a number of years. Then I became a chartered accountant. Then I became an entrepreneur selling perfumes. Then I went on to consulting in large organizations. And then I became a leadership coach and a master coach, and now a leadership architect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Impressive.
Thank you very much. So I've had many different professions under my hat. Okay. Any other questions? And thanks for asking, Robert. Is that Robert? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have one more question from Betty. And the question is, Brahm, with you being so eloquent in your speech and in your delivery, just wondering how many times you need to practice to deliver your speech or session?
Well, because I've been doing this for many years now, this type of presentations, I don't practice hundreds of times. My way of practicing is I go through I first write it, then I put it on slides, and then I go slide by slide over and over again, maybe 10, 15 times, and I internalize it. And anyways, these ideas are all mine, so they are already internalized when I put them out on the paper, but I put the logic together and how it should really flow together for the audience, for the benefit of the audience. That is what I'm mainly doing. Now, take a world champion of public speaking. That would be a better question, right? How did they become the world champion of public speaking? And you all know, I've said this before, they practiced so many times. What was it? Yeah, Aaron Beverly, just a few days ago, 2 weeks ago, I interviewed him right here on this stage here, for those of you who were present, and I asked every world champion of public speaking that I've interviewed, and I interviewed most of them, how many times do you practice to be a world champion of public speaking? And they always say hundreds of times. That 1 7-minute speech, they practice hundreds of times. One. Yeah. And then they downpeg the fundamentals of speaking, body language, voice control, eye contact, movement. Not only that, but they know the content well. Once the content is put together, the fundamentals are just so internalized and automatic that they just come out. Okay? So it's like that. When you're first starting on your journey, you'll have to practice quite a bit. When I first started my Toastmasters, when I was in Toastmasters and in there, I used to practice my icebreaker. I clearly remember with a friend, I practiced it so many times. In those days, when you first start out Toastmasters, right, you remember word for word, right, exactly the way it was written. That's dangerous too, right, when you remember word to word, because if you forget one word, the whole speech goes. But that's what I used to do as well. So that's part of my journey. It's very, if the story is real with you and it's authentic and it's your story, and you put it together and think critically through with it and internalize, because it's already internalized, but internalize the structure, then you don't need to practice it that many times to be able to speak well. Right? There have been world champions of public speaking, I believe it was Mark Brown and Craig Valentine, who after 1 year of being in Toastmasters, they became world champions. And so I always joke with Lance Miller. It took you, or what is it, 10, 15 years, God knows. I always joke with him, it took you that long to become the world champion, right? Because I've interviewed them all. So there you go, okay? It is how much you practice. And so these presentations, I actually have internalized them. This is my material. It comes from my heart, through my experience in watching speakers and how they keep failing over and over, and how they speak for years and years and they still are learning the basics. So that's what it is. All right, thanks. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Vinny, and the question is in reference to the two options, self-directed or guided. This is the one I see clarification, whether the guided sessions will be chargeable. Okay.
Yes, the guided sessions are chargeable. That's my coaching business. If you want to. 2 years ago, more than a dozen, quite a number of people actually went for the guided sessions as well. It's up to you. That's besides the point. But the main thing is the training is here, it's available, it's free. Okay? But the guided sessions are very different. They take over 3-4 months, and you really become some other type of speaker, really, at a professional level. Okay, anything else?
Another question from Ramu. What is the difference between leadership coach, leadership mentor, leadership trainer, and leadership architect?
So let's take the word coach, the leadership out. What is a coach? A coach makes sure that you have a goal here, right? And you're over here, and your goal is over there. And how you're going to get from here to there. That's what a coach does. A mentor, what does a mentor do? A mentor is somebody who has been through the journey, right? For example, a CEO can be a mentor to you. They've been through the journey of they started at the bottom of the organization and now they're CEO. And if you want to be the CEO and they see potential in you, they will mentor you through the steps you should be taking in the organization to become the CEO. So that's mentorship. Trainer, well, trainer is when I'm doing training sessions, which most of you have been to before, the training sessions, that's the trainer. It's about imparting material to a big crowd rather than coaching one-on-one. It is coaching a big crowd, and it is a set material with context and content rather than, oh, where are you now individually, where are you now, to where do you want to get this individually, okay? And a leadership architect is who I am, is I really look at the structure and the systems that make you, and you make the systems and structure. What's really going on within you? Yeah, what sort of systems are, and your beliefs and so on, that create you, and how you can recreate and reinvent yourself to the next level. That is a leadership architect. I re-architect and put together somebody into a different system and structure. I call that structural integrity, right? In a nutshell. All right, anything else?
We have a question from Prasad. When I went on the stage, my body gets shaking while I'm talking in front of a crowd. So how to overcome this problem?
Practice. Practice. So when you are shaking in front of the crowd, that means you have not been speaking for too long, right? You've been a recent speaker. You are recently getting engaged in the speaking world, right? Maybe it's Toastmasters. Maybe it's at your company. Maybe somebody at the wedding said, hey, stand up and say something, right? So then you're not prepared, right? And when you're not prepared, you don't know what you're going to be saying, or it is just too soon and you haven't really internalized the message, right? Every time as a brand new speaker, when we stand in front of a crowd, the first thing that we think of is, who are all these people out there sitting there? And they're all looking at me. And you never had all these people look at you spontaneously at the same time. And suddenly something happens in your head, like, oh my goodness, I'm being watched. What if they reject me? What if they don't accept me? Because unconsciously, those are unconscious beliefs, not conscious, unconscious beliefs. These are survival mechanisms, by the way. They're not even beliefs. They are survival mechanisms. Are they going to reject me? Are they going to accept me? Right? And your survival brain will think of fight, fright, flee. Shall I run from here? Shall I start fighting? What shall I do? Or whatever, right? So when that thing kicks off in your brain, unconsciously is encoded in you. The unconscious brain is, by the way, 400 times faster than your conscious brain. Your conscious brain is only 5% of the whole brain. Most of the processes are taking place in your unconscious brain, and you haven't trained your unconscious brain enough to settle down. And so you start to shake. That is why we always say, plan, prepare, practice, and then present. And as you keep doing that over and over again, you will have whatever in Toastmasters we say, the butterflies in your stomach fly in a formation rather than all over the place. That's the thing that we use in Toastmasters. I learned that 30 years ago when I first joined Toastmasters, right? So it is a matter of practicing, right? And it shouldn't take forever to overcome that. If you really understand the mechanics of speaking, if you really understand the mechanics of why you are on the stage, once you understand that, that thing will dispel. Okay? Very quickly, if you really understand that. Next question.
Another question is from 𝘱𝘵𝘪𝘊. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but the question is, how do I find a purpose in life?
How do you find purpose in life? Well, this particular presentation is about 7-minute magic challenge and about speaking well. It's not about coaching session, my friend. So I think we will step forward from that question, okay, if you don't mind, because that's a long conversation in itself. But briefly speaking, since you ask, right, you really have to look at what my life has been about so far. Where am I dissatisfied? What will satisfy me? What will give me the freedom of expression, autonomy, agency, sovereignty? Right? What are the things I could be doing where I feel free and be able to express myself well? What are those things, and how do I do that? It's a process. It's quite a bit of a process to find a purpose and vision. 9 months of people come to my high-end coaching classes, and it takes about 9 months for them to really settle down in finding the structural integrity, which is architecturing themselves and understanding their purpose.
Hi, Brahm.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Brahm. Hi, I'm George. I'm a Toastmaster already. So the only thing is, like, when I'm going regularly to Toastmasters, I feel very confident, and it's very when I take a break of 2 months or something, it is very difficult to come back to stage. That is it is as you mentioned, it is a process learned by doing it. So how we can get back to that form of speaking? Like, after a break, it'll be very difficult to
Yes, it is.
get back on track. Yeah.
What you don't use, you will lose, right? After break, you will lose a few things, and so the only thing to do is really to ask, since you said Toastmasters, to ask your VP of Education, can I speak in 4 to 5 weeks, right? And then attend all your meetings. Don't miss even a single meeting, and watch what's going on, what the people are doing, how they're standing, where they're standing, and write evaluations, right? And see, is this something this speaker is doing that I could use? Is it authentic to me in how they're moving, how they're speaking? What sort of speaking should I be doing? Watch that over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks while you're planning, preparing, and practicing your presentation, right? Write notes, right? And then, make sure that when you practice enough with a friend, with your mentor, and then go and speak. And you still may be a bit rusty, and that is fine. Then don't wait for another 4 to 5 weeks. Wait for only a week, 2 weeks, and go and speak again. Go and speak at other clubs and tell them, I'm getting back on my feet and I'm a bit rusty. So you tell them beforehand. You tell them before, you set the stage that that's what you're doing, and then you go and speak at other clubs, and even at your own club. Say, I'm getting a bit rusty, so this is what I'm doing, this is my plan. You have to always be open and forthwith, especially if you are in a communication and leadership learning group, which is Toastmasters. You are in a communication and leadership learning group, right? Aren't you? You're not clubbing. It's not a club. You're in a group that's learning how to communicate and lead. And so you have to be open with your group. So this is where you are at. And so by saying that, they will support you through the rusty period, right? And then always, mastery is all about 3 things: consistency, frequency, and immersion, right? And if you take yourself out of the game, especially if you're newer to the game, you take yourself out of the game and you come back, you have lost momentum. But if you are a pro at speaking, and then you go out of the game and you come back, it won't take you long. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. Once you are very proficient at riding a bicycle and you're now racing on bicycles, and you don't do that for 20 years and you come back, you'll be able to do a pretty good job. Let me give you another example. Just very recently, I hadn't driven in 8 years, right? Or more, maybe more. I think it was almost 10 years. I don't have a car. I hadn't driven. And I needed to do a few things on a particular day here, just last month, a few weeks back. And it was a very snowy, icy day. I'm in Canada, and I rented a car. And my friends were saying, not that you haven't driven for so long, you probably have forgotten how to drive. I rented a car. Within 1 minute of sitting in the car, as if I had never ever not driven, like I was driving, like I've been driving every day, right? So it is like that. Because I mastered to drive. I've been driving for many years, right? I'm not that young. I've been driving for 30, 40, 50 years. So I didn't drive for 10 years. I was fine. Within a minute, I was driving like as if I've been driving every day. So it depends on how long you've been in the game and how long, therefore, you take yourself out of the game. If you are recent to the game, especially if you're a Toastmaster, don't take yourself out of the game. Never take yourself out of the game. Use this platform to expand yourself and become very good. This year is your year, all right? This year, make it your year.
Thank you so much. It's really, really helpful.
You're welcome.
At really different levels, actually. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Swati, anything else?
Yes, we have one more question from Ismail Gosia. And the question is, are there specific diet or exercises that are necessary for developing good voice and posture?
I always say that exercise is always good for posturing, of course. And so today I'm not wearing I'm actually wearing a very old pair of shoes. I don't know why. That's why I'm wobbling a bit. The soles are not flat. And you can see sometimes I'm going like this, right? Because the soles, and I shouldn't have worn these shoes today, for example. So number one, wear good shoes. Okay. But exercise is very, very important. I go to the gym every day, except the days when I'm presenting, like today, I didn't go to the gym, or it's been snowing so heavily, I didn't go to the gym yesterday. Everything was closed here where I'm in Canada. Tremendous amount of snow. The snow is piled so high, actually, in my window, it piled up to there in my window. No gym. Otherwise, gym, yes, absolutely, gym. If not every day. Make sure that your body is in shape, because when you stand up, you want to stand up as a strong person who is able to do the gestures and move around well, right? And wear good shoes, of course. I learned that today. Don't wear these shoes again. Diet, before you present, never eat a heavy meal. Don't eat anything if possible. Don't ever eat sweet stuff. It gets stuck in your throat. All right? And of course, the better the diet, the more, of course, energetic you're going to be. The more exercise and the more better the diet, the more energy you will have. Sometimes you've seen me, those who've been coming to these events for a number of years, I can stand here and speak for 3, 4, 5 hours continuously without a break. If the audience will be here, that is, of course, right? I can, because I have the right type of diet and I exercise well and I wear the right kind of shoes. All right, Aswati.
Thank you so much, Brahm, for answering all the questions. I don't see any more questions in the chat. But if anyone wants to ask, they can raise your virtual hands and unmute and ask.
All right. So one last chance, Hannah, if you can post the link again and the QR code. I know the QR code is always here if you want.
Yes.
But I'll ask Hannah to post. Thank you, Hannah.
I will.
Absolutely. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, since there are no Q&A, remember, always check your spam folder. Always check your junk folder. Don't open emails that you don't recognize. You'll always see an email from me. If it's in the junk or spam folder, it'll say Brahm Memon DTM or Brahm Memon, something like that. Or Global Leadership Impact Summit, right? Because that's the umbrella under which these emails come out. So either one of those, make sure you know who is sending them, and be safe. But make sure you check your spam folder, your junk folder, your other social folders, what about the folders you have? Because most of these emails tend to end up there. Okay, so please do that. With that, we will end the recording. So, Madam Zoom Master, if you can end the recording for us, that'll be great.
It has been posted in the chat again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nelly, and the streaming as well. So we'll stop all the streaming and recording. And I'm still available for some questions if you wish. But thank you very much, Hannah, for your service. I would like to thank Nelly Jane here for being the Zoom